Cut Block Podcast, where we cut through the noise and keep it real. Just because a cut block is legal doesn't make it right. Kind of like Corey Hogue's takes. Now, here's your host, Corey Hogue.
Thank you, Jesse, and welcome to the Cut Block Podcast. This week, we have a great episode. We're cutting through the noise, getting real about Texas A&M Texarkana's search for a head football coach. Then we head into the Gridiron Briefing Room, where I'm joined by Abilene Christian head coach Keith Patterson, who discusses the Wildcats ahead of a crucial rivalry game against number 2 Tarleton on Saturday. And, of course, we close things out with the weekend warm-up. It's my personal viewing schedule for the weekend. My name is Corey Hogue, proprietor of CoreyHogueSports.substack.com, CoreyHogue Sports. You can find me on social media anywhere you look. Just search at Corey Hogue Sports, CoreyHogue Sports. Don't forget, like, subscribe, review the podcast wherever you listen. It truly does make a difference, and we just thank you for all of your support. Let's go into the trenches. And I want to take you east on Highway 82 to a campus that's getting ready to strap on some pads for the very first time. Texas A&M Texarkana. Yes, the Eagles. They took another concrete step towards launching football last week. They posted the head coach opening, and the plan is ambitious but clear. Kickoff in 2027 and play in a brand new on-campus stadium by 2028. That's a big lift. But it's exactly the kind of project that can reshape a campus and a community. Now let's talk the facility, because facilities are statements. The naming rights are already in place. Red River Credit Union Stadium. RRCU Stadium is expected to seat around 6,000 with club and VIP areas, an artificial surface, and a bowl-shaped design that keeps the sound in and the weather out as much as you can when you're in East Texas. That's not just a place to play. That's a place to recruit to. And this job posting tells us a lot about how A&M Texarkana plans to build. Minimum 5 years of college or pro experience, preference for prior head coaching experience, especially Division II. And that tracks because the Eagles have an invitation to the Lone Star Conference and will transition from NAIA to NCAA Division II. They also want someone who has started or rebuilt a program. Translation, they're not looking for theory, they're looking for receipts. So who fits? I've got a handful of names in no particular order, but each tells you something about the direction this could go. And if you want to read more about each one of these candidates, visit my Substack, where I broke this down earlier this week. First up, Barry Derrickson, former Sul Ross State head coach. These are in no particular order. Just want you to know that. Barry Derrickson, former Sul Ross State head coach. If you want proof someone can fight uphill, Barry's your guy. He worked at Angelo State, Howard Payne, Navarro, and then took on one of the toughest gigs in the state at Sul Ross. He shepherded the Lobos from Division III into Division II last season. That's no small thing. And he finished 3-8 and 2-7 in the Lone Star Conference after posting 11 wins in D3 with extremely limited resources. I'm talking fewer than 5 scholarships funded out of the 36 allowed in 2024. If you can win games and altitude at Alpine with that kind of funding and those facilities, you can build a culture anywhere. He understands West Texas grit, budget ball, and realities of D2. That experience translates to East Texas in a startup mode in Texarkana. Next up, Carl Absek, now at Lufkin High School. Does he check the college head coach box? No. But the man builds programs like a contractor with blueprints and steel. At Cedar Park, state title his first season. Back to the title game in 2020. And then a 71-10 run with 5 district titles at Barbers Hill. He and Barbers Hill split after last season, but he landed at Lufkin, and he has the Panthers sitting 5-3 and 2-2 in a tough 5A D1 district. 170-30 overall as a head coach. Why does that matter at the college level? Because startups are about systems and standards. You need someone who can install a day one identity, assemble staff quickly, and win the weight room before you win the weekend. Absec's track record says he can. Let's go to Chase Paramore, East Texas A&M wide receivers coach and pass game coordinator. This is a younger coach, but I've heard the same line from more than one person. Quote, he turns chicken, into chicken salad. He's an elite recruiter. Started at East Texas A&M with the running backs in 2023, moved to receivers, and added pass game duties. Before that, he was offensive coordinator and assistant head coach at NAIA Waldorf. They averaged 43.8 points a game and set the program wins record. Then he was named Waldorf's head coach at 26 years old, which made him the youngest head coach in all of college football. He also spent 3 years at Southwestern Assemblies of God University, SAGU, or now known as Nelson. He handled receivers, recruiting, and special teams. What does that resume tell me? He knows small college rosters. He knows how to find hidden gem talent. And he's comfortable wearing 5 hats. For a brand new D2 program, recruiting weekends and roster builds are your lifeblood. He could inject energy and fill a depth chart fast. How about Joe Prudhomme, program builder's program builder? He restarted Texas Wesleyan after a 75-year pause. Wrap your head around that. And by 2022, they were 9-2, and he was the NAIA Region 5 Coach of the Year and Co-Coach of the Year in the Sooner Athletic Conference. He followed that with an 8-2 mark in 2023 and a share of the SAC title again. He also won 209 games and 7 TAPS 5A state championships at Nolan Catholic over 24 seasons. His first job, head coaching job, 23 years old, at Bishop Gorman Catholic, and he took them straight to the title game. If A&M Texarkana wants someone who knows the sequence, from ordering shoulder pads to aligning academics, fundraising, and community buy-in, Prudhomme has literally written the playbook. Let's shift over to Mike Babcock, UTPB's assistant head coach and offensive line coach. This guy is the checks every box candidate. UCLA player turned graduate assistant, then coached multiple positions for the Bruins. He moved to Colorado to handle offensive line and tight ends, plus special teams. Spent a year at San Diego, and then he went to Division II with a deep run, 5 seasons at Colorado State Pueblo, where the Thunderwolves won the RMAC in his final 2 years. He took over head coach at D2 McKendree for 11 seasons, posted a 58-52 record and 4 runner-up finishes in the always challenging Great Lakes Valley Conference. That's long-term leadership, proven development, and an understanding of D2 scholarship math. If you want stability and a turnkey organizational structure, Babcock delivers. And finally, Mike Schultz, senior offensive assistant at UTRGV. If the goal is to scale fast at the Division II level and import that urgency, Schultz is compelling. 30-plus years in FBS and FCS worlds. Head coach at Lamar from 2017 to 2019 and took the Cardinals to their first playoff berth in program history in 2018. He's had OC stops at Texas State, Middle Tennessee, Illinois, and TCU, plus time at New Mexico, Tennessee Tech, Texas, Kansas State, UTEP, and Sam Houston. But here's the kicker. He's been alongside Travis Bush at UTRGV as that program exploded out of the gate. Hired in December 2023, and they're winning right now. He's watched a modern startup work in real time. If A&M Texarkana wants a head coach steeped in program processes who also understands what a 2020 startup requires, Schultz fits that lane. So what do these names tell us about the search? It's 3 core ideas. 1, don't reinvent the wheel. Whoever is chosen as the coach at Texas A&M Texarkana should immediately head to Edinburgh to pick the brain of UTRGV head coach Travis Bush. They have a blueprint for immediate success. It won't be exactly the same, but there will be some core areas in the process that one can learn and incorporate in Texarkana. 2, recruiting is everything. At a new D2 program, you live in the portal, junior colleges, and high school hallways within a 3-hour radius. You need evaluators who aren't afraid to project frames and bet on development. Texarkana's location is gold. Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, that's 4 states of talent within a tank of gas. Whoever gets this job has to be a relentless recruiter with a network across those borders. And 3, timeline discipline. You're hiring now for a 2027 kickoff. That means 2 cycles to stack classes before you ever jog out for warm-ups. And you've got a stadium coming online in 2028. The head coach has to build for today. Brand, buzz, and fundraising. While building for 2 years from now with depth, red shirts, a strength program that actually looks like D2 when the ball kicks. If you're an Eagles fan listening to this, here's what I'd watch for in the next few months. Staff construction. Who's the recruiting coordinator? Who handles the portal? Who owns East Texas high schools? Strength and conditioning hire. That's your culture carrier in year 0. Early commits and preferred walk-ons. Not just names, body types that fit the vision. And community touchpoints, youth camps, booster events, and a clear message that RRCU Stadium is your stadium. I love startups because they're honest. There's nowhere to hide. Every weight session, every campus visit, every donor lunch, it matters. Texas A&M Texarkana is doing the right things early, posting the job with clear expectations, staking a claim in Division II with the Lone Star Conference, and building a home that feels big time on day 1. So who do I think fits? Different paths can win here. If you want the builder's builder, Prudhomme. If you want steady D2 leadership with line of scrimmage DNA, Babcock. If you want resourceful, gritty growth and tough conditions, Derrickson. If you want a youthful recruiting juice and creativity, Paramore. And if you want to borrow rocket fuel from a current launch, Schultz. And if you want instant standards and Texas high school credibility, that's ABSEC. However it breaks, circle 2027. The Eagles are coming. And when RRCU Stadium opens in 2028, they'll have a stage worthy of the vision. The question is simple. Which coach gets the keys, and how fast can they make Texarkana a problem in the Lone Star? And that's in the trenches. Going to head over to the Gridiron Briefing Room soon, but first, I want to let you know the Cut Block Podcast is listener supported. And if you have the means, I'd be honored to have you as a paying subscriber over at CoreyHoagSports.substack.com. Paid subscribers get every story delivered right to their inbox. Annual subscribers get 6 months free, and founding members receive early access to posts, plus my undying love and gratitude. It's time to head into the Gridiron Briefing Room, and I'm joined today by the head coach of Abilene Christian, Keith Patterson. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to join us this week.
You bet. Thank you for having me, Corey.
You know, you guys have had a great season to this point. You got a big game coming up against Tarleton soon. But first, I want to ask you some questions about Kagan Roach. I've got a feature coming out on him. It'll have been published by the time this podcast airs. And just an incredible story, an incredible person, a journey from West Point through JUCO, North Texas, now to Abilene Christian. What does his presence bring to the team?
I think since the day that he showed up, we obviously tried to get Kagan out of Blinn. He turned us down, and then we got him on the rebound at North Texas. And I think since the day that he showed up, that's when things began to change for us. I felt like defensively, he just brought a toughness, a relentless practice habits, and I think that kind of just carried over with our other guys. I think he is primarily was. I think he brought out the best in David Oakey and Jerry Lawson, who were two really good players for us, obviously. And it just that whole just the way they played the game. I think I'll always look back and go, you know what? It changed for us the day that Kagan Roach showed up.
That is a huge compliment. There are a lot of things that he brings off the field, on the field. A lot of stuff the fans don't see, but things that his teammates definitely feel from him every day. What are some of those things he brings?
Yeah, I mean, he's a couple of years younger than I am, No, I mean, he really is. He just brings a level of maturity, just the way he carries himself. Like I said, I think it's really all the things. He's not a big talker. I think it's he leads by action, which are the kind of leaders I like, guys that I'm not really interested in hearing what you have to say. I want you to show me what you have to say. And he's that kind of guy. He just, he's tough. I mean, the guy's battled through injuries throughout his career, but he loves the game of football. I think he brings a passion for the game of football. That really does bleed over into our other players. And you can't say enough just about his toughness, that he just, there's been times where I'm like going, hey, dude, look, you can take a step back from this thing a little bit. And he's like going, Coach, I'm playing, period. So it's probably all the unspoken things that he brings to the table.
It was a honor, honestly, you get to talk to him and kind of get to know a little bit about him. Just a great person. Let's move on to the Wildcats. You guys, you've had a decent year, probably not as well as you thought, but I'm curious from your vision and your point of view, how close are you now to where you thought you would be at this point of the season in August?
That's a really interesting question. I don't really know what I thought, to be honest with you. When you lose the number of people that we lost off of, you really restart. A lot of times success can be a double-edged sword at this level. And, you not only lose coaches, you lose players. I mean, between 5 assistant coaches and I think I counted 40 new faces in the upper, somewhere between 38 and 40 new faces on our roster from a year ago. So with that being said, you really don't know what to expect going into a season because you don't get to bring all those guys in mid-year to where they go through spring football. So you really have to try to build team, chemistry, all the things that go into winning. You have to instill those things in the summer and fall camp. So I'll be honest with you, I had no idea all the way through fall camp until the last week. I started seeing signs of improvement, but I still didn't know what to expect. And it seemed to me to click in the TCU game where, if we don't miss the 2 field goals, we would have scored in, I think, out of 7, maybe 7 consecutive possessions there with the way that we ended the half. If we'd have added those 2 and then the way we played in the second half, I was very proud of our team. Just by the way, we just kept playing football. And I think that's kind of where it turned in my mind a little bit. Played really, really well against Stephen F. Austin, really well against Austin P, really well against North Alabama, really well against West Georgia. And there's just been a couple of games to where I just go, good grief, like what in the world, what just happened, right? So I think just trying to build consistency throughout the course of a season, and it's a process. It's all about teaching guys not only how to attain success, you have to be able to teach young men how to sustain success. And, you can't look at other people's records. You can't look at, whether it's good or bad. I mean, at the end of the day, you just got to focus on what it takes to get us prepared to go and win and play the way we did in the 4 games that we've won. And when we play like that, we play as well as anybody in the country.
You just hit on what makes winning so hard, and then sustaining winning so hard. It's something I know personally. I fight it in daily life, right? Like it's a real life lesson that you teach there, and I'm really happy to hear you hit on that. Now you got a big game coming up. It's a homecoming. You're going to have a ranked rival coming in, big stage. I'm curious, when you've seen Tarleton, what jumps out to you first?
They look like Tarleton every year that we've competed against them. They do what they do, and they do it really well. And both sides of the football. I mean, I think they've already going into this weekend. I think they've forced 24 turnovers on defense. They're scoring points at a crazy clip. Especially in the second and the third quarter. I mean, I think they've outscored their opponents like 117 to like not very much in the second quarter, and almost the same thing in the third quarter. So really, they really rely on explosive plays, very similar to what they have, the home run shots in the passing game and the big runs. And, we just try to do what we do against them every year.
How do you keep the players balanced between the excitement of homecoming and all the festivities that are going to go on with that, and the focus that's needed to get prepared and beat a ranked opponent? Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how many ranked opponents this year. I think 3, maybe 4, if I'm not mistaken, 3. So it really, to me, homecoming has everything to do with the alumni, the people who are going to be at the game. It really doesn't have anything to do with us, even though, hey, we recognize the importance of the game, homecoming. It's really not for the players. It's more for everyone else. And we just want to make sure that whoever comes back for that game, that we give them, something to be proud of, and by the way we perform and by the way we play.
You mentioned before we started recording that you guys have kind of taken a deep breath and a step back during the bye week. That is probably one of the most important things you can do, because the grind from August through, you hope, the end of December into January is so hard. How important is it at this time of year, at the end of October, to have a few days to take that deep breath?
Probably more so this year than any year I've been a part of here at ACU. I mean, I think I looked at it the other day. We've had 18 home contests and 44 games that I've played here, which is, 5 of our 8 games this year have been on the road. And as you know, winning in college football, it's not easy, and it's really not easy on the road. So that's, and out of that, so you had a rival in UIW and a rival in Stephen F. Austin, ranked opponents. Then you bring in an Austin P team here who coming off a very impressive game against the University of Georgia. You got TCU right in the middle of all that, and then we go about as far as you can go in this conference, all the way to Georgia, all the way to Southern Utah, back to back. So I think it was right on time. I think it sets up perfect for us to now take a deep breath and gear up to go play these final 4 regular season games. And we're exactly where we were a year ago. Exactly. We're 3-1 in the conference, and with with 2 back-to-back home games, and we're obviously very excited about not just the game that we got coming up. We're excited about the next 4.
Yeah, and you are right in there, and you control your own destiny still to get that automatic bid to the playoffs again. So with so much on the line, the rivalry, Tarleton coming in, how big would it be for you and those players to come out that tunnel and see a sold out Wildcat Stadium?
Yeah, I mean, that could become a reality. I mean, I think people are starting to understand, man, FCS football right now, it's some of the most exciting football in the country right now. I mean, I'm watching these games throughout the course of the week and like going, man, that's why I sit and I watched the FCS playoffs last year during bowl season. I didn't watch those bowl games. I mean, half of them didn't have a head coach, or half of them didn't have their quarterback or whatever. So, I watched FCS football, and it's an exciting brand of football, and I think people are starting to realize that.
I think they are. I think the more you're 100% correct, as always. You see a lot of people see the struggles that like a Sam Houston has had since they moved up here recently. And they're starting to realize, man, playing for playoffs and having a chance to play for a national title is pretty good at the FCS level. And so you look around the country, you watch Montana, the North Dakota states, the South Dakota states, they fill those stadiums every week. You're trying to build that momentum to get around the program to get to that point. What message would a sellout crowd send about where ACU football is and where you're headed?
Yeah, I honestly think our better days are in front of us, really, in moving the program forward. It's big. I mean, just to be able to showcase not only what we're doing here at Abilene Christian, but even in this part of the state of Texas. I mean, you got Stephen F. Austin's playing really well. Tarleton's playing very well. Us. I really like. I think it's good for football. I mean, we're right here in the heart of the SEC and the Big 12 country, and to be able to have one of the better FCS leagues, which I think we do, from top to bottom. I think the competition in that league, it's highly competitive. Anyone can beat anyone on any given set, and that's what really it ought to be about it, in my opinion. So it would be big not only for our program, but I think it would be great for FCS football, because I just think that's one thing that's kind of fading away and slipping away are the rivalries of college football. And man, when you can sit there and you look at the crowd we had against Stephen F. Austin, you look at the crowd that we'll have against Tarleton, that's really what it's all about. Regional rivalries. That's what made college football great to begin with.
It's going to be a whole lot of purple on that game.
Yeah.
And you're right. Like I've been covering FCS now for 8 years. This is my 8th season, and it by far is the best, most competitive that I've seen. And there's still four 5 teams that can make playoffs still. And that's very unusual. It just shows how great the level of football in this state is growing. Last question I have for you. 3:00 start. You've talked about how some people are starting to recognize that FCS is a great brand of football, and it is. You've got a 3:00 afternoon start, nationally ranked rival coming in. In my opinion, that's college football at its finest. I'm curious what message you would have if there's any ACU fans that could still possibly be hesitant about whether they should come watch that game.
Yeah, I mean, a fall afternoon, 2 Texas FCS programs that are playing at a high level and have over the last few years. What a tremendous opportunity to come out and see for yourself. I mean, I've spoken with people who have come to their first football game last year and they're like shocked. I've spoken to people who have come out and saw their first ACU football game in maybe a decade, and they're shocked at the level and the caliber of players that are playing, the level of football that's being played here right in Abilene, Texas. And I've said that since the day I've gotten here. I mean, like, I don't even know if we realize what we're sitting on here. To have a Division I football program right here in Abilene, Texas, right off of a major interstate, the state of Texas and the type of players that are available in this state to recruit. So, man, you're playing on Saturday afternoon, where that's just the way I grew up watching college football. I played college football in the afternoon. It's just I don't, especially in the fall, you can just, the crispness in the air at, in mid-afternoon on late October, or I guess we're in November, November 1 on Saturday, I guess. So, man, to be able to do that, it's a tremendous, I don't know. It's just I'm very blessed to be able to be a part of something like that, and just really look forward to a great day and a great football game.
Like you said, there is nothing like a fall afternoon, little chill in the air. It says football weather. As a fan, I'm hoping for some sun so I get a little warmth out there. Yeah. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be so much fun.
It's what it's all about.
It is. And, Coach, it has been so much fun and a true pleasure to watch you build this program even further and continue to turn Abilene Christian into a power in the conference and nationally. And thank you so much again for taking the time to join us today.
You bet. Corey, thank you, buddy.
Stay connected with me on Twitter, X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and more. Just search at Corey Hogue Sports, CORYHOGUE Sports. You can reach me directly by email at CoreyHogueSports@gmail.com. We go in now to the weekend warm-up, and here's a quick refresher for new listeners. I use the 24-hour clock to honor my time as a combat medic in the United States Army. If the first two digits are greater than 12, subtract 1,200 to convert to a 12-hour time. It's a loaded slate of games in Week 10, and I've had this date circled on my calendar for months. So let's jump in. East Texas Baptist at Mary Hardin Baylor, 1,300 hours. You can watch it on the UMHB All Access. We open in Belton, where UMHB's playoff push is effectively already underway. The Crew handled Howard Payne 41-17, and this is the third of four straight in Belton. They cannot afford a slip. ETBU comes off a well-timed bye after three straight losses following a 4-0 start. The Tigers pushed UMHB and Hardin-Simmons earlier this season. But those games were in Marshall. Now, two of their last three are on the road. If ETBU is going to shape the ASC race, this is the spot. For UMHB, they can't afford to peek ahead to HSU. Handle business, keep survive and advance mode on. Navarro at Tyler, 1,300 hours, 1 p.m. And you can find it on the TJC Apache Athletics YouTube channel. And it's the Southwestern Junior College Football Conference, where Tyler is 8-0 with a defense that rarely allows more than 17 points and an offense that's dipped under 26 points just once. Quarterback Trey Guerra has them cruising after a 38-17 win over Kilgore. Navarro sits 4-1 in the league, averaging 32 points per game. But watch the health of the Bulldogs quarterbacks. Ryan Shackleton left last week's game early with an apparent arm injury. But Nehemiah Broussard entered and kept the Bulldogs on schedule. He adds a whole nother dimension to the Navarro offense with his mobility. Here's the stakes. The Tyler win clinches the regular season title, top seed, and hosting ranks, and keeps the Apaches in the NJCAA semifinal picture. A Navarro win could spark a three-way tie with Tyler and Trinity Valley, pushing us into a margin of victory math, which I broke down in last week's clipboard on Substack. A Navarro loss likely locks them in to the 3 seed and a road semifinal. Northeastern Oklahoma A&M at Trinity Valley, 1,300 hours. Find it on the Trinity Valley Community College YouTube page, also known as Cardinal Sports Network, and we slide on over to Athens for playoff positioning. Trinity Valley just punched its postseason ticket with a 56-18 road win at New Mexico Military. If Tyler beats Navarro, TVCC locks in the 2 seed in a home semifinal. They still have an outside shot to share the regular season title if Navarro beats Tyler. NEO is fighting for 4th and the final playoff berth in their last SWJCFC season. The North secure the 4 seed with wins at Trinity Valley and at Kilgore. They drop either one, and Cisco wins over Blinn in the final week of the season, and that shuts the door on the Golden Norsemen's playoff hopes. Expect Trinity Valley to lean on explosive plays early. If NEO can drag this into a field position game, the 4th quarter gets interesting. Alabama State at Prairie View A&M, 1400 hours. You can watch it on SWAC TV. Prairie View has stacked 5 straight wins after a rough September and sits 4-0 in the SWAC West. Effectively 2 games clear of Texas Southern thanks to their Labor Day Classic victory. The defense is cooking. 28 points allowed over their last 4 games. And 9 per game against the past 3 SWAC foes. This is their first SWAC East crossover game here. Alabama State is 3-1 in the league after dropping 56 points on Alabama A&M last week, and they have scored at least 30 in every game this season behind former Texas Southern quarterback Andrew Body. The question for PV, can the Panthers find 30 on offense against an FCS opponent? That's something they haven't done this season. Even with a loss, PV controls its path. Their last 3 league opponents have just 2 combined SWAC wins. For Bama State, they're tied atop the East with Jackson State and Bethune-Cookman. This could preview December if the Hornets win out and Jackson State slips once. The winner may end up hosting the title game if records align. Also, 1400 hours, Lamar at Incarnate Word on ESPN. Plus, we head down to San Antonio, and Lamar begins a defining 3-game stretch. They're unbeaten against FCS foes and closing like a vice in the 4th quarter. Defense allowing 18.1 points per game to FCS. UIW, they've dropped 3 straight, 5 of 6, including a 56-28 thrashing at UTRGV. But pride runs deep in San Antonio. Expect a sharper, cleaner UIW this week. UIW's SC title hopes and playoff hopes are gone. They could still wreck someone else's resume. If Lamar keeps suffocating drives late, they keep their at-large profile and chance to win the Southland pristine. If UIW lands early explosives, we could have a shootout. And then 1500 hours on ESPN Plus, Tarleton at Abilene Christian. This is the headliner this week, and it has hardware implications once again. Last year, this rivalry decided the United Athletic Conference champion and an automatic bid to the FCS playoffs. It's pretty much same stakes now. Tarleton is 9-0, ranked number 2 nationally. But this is their first ranked opponent of 2025. Number 24, ACU took a bye after a 31-24 loss at Southern Utah. And the Wildcats haven't dropped back-to-back games since 2023. The series edge belongs to ACU. They've won 9 of 13 overall and 3 of the last 4 since 2021. Tarleton can clinch the conference title and an automatic bid to the playoffs with a win and an Austin Peay loss later in the day at Southern Utah. This is the Texans' final road game. If they win out, you're staring at the number 2 seed with home field advantage to the national title game. The last 3 meetings between these 2 rivals were decided by a combined 10 points. Expect a final possession script. Now we head into the evening, nighttime hours, and the slate just keeps getting better. UTRGV at Stephen F. Austin, 1800 hours, 6 o'clock on ESPN Plus. It's a year 1 heat check in Nacogdoches. UTRGV story gaining steam after they dropped 56 on UIW. Quarterback Eddie Lee Marburger sits at 22 touchdown passes, and he's one of the top QBs in FCS. SFA has ripped 6 straight victories since an 0-2 start, and they just won 31-21 at East Texas A&M. It's their first victory in Commerce since 1972. Look, they've got an experienced quarterback of their own and a very experienced team. It's strength versus strength this week. A fireworks offense versus one of the stingier FCS defenses at 17.8 points allowed to FCS foes. The Jacks need this win to keep pace in the South Lane Conference. The Vaqueros need signature wins to sway voters and solidify a chance for the playoffs. Also 1800 hours, Texas Lutheran at McMurray on Flow College. SCAC Clarity Night in Abilene, with the league adding a championship weekend on November 15th at War Memorial Stadium in Little Rock. There's no splitting the title this year. Texas Lutheran rides a 3-game winning streak, including a 50-48 thriller over Hendrix that juiced title hopes. McMurray has won 4 straight after an 0-3 start. They host Hendrix next week in what could become a de facto play-in game. Simple math. TLU clinches a spot in Little Rock title game with a win. McMurray gets in by winning the next 2. They stumble here, and next week becomes do or die. Angelo State at Central Washington, 2000 hours. That's an 8 p.m. start on Flow College. Don't worry, it'll keep you awake because we're closing in Ellensburg, Washington on Senior Day. Angelo State snapped a rare 2-game LSC skid with comfortable wins over Midwestern State and Sul Ross. Head coach Jeff Gersh's defense is trending back to the standard, allowing 18.8 points per game this season. And last week's 62-0 shutout win over the Lobos was the defense's first sub-20 performance since week 1. Central Washington is explosive. They haven't lost to a D2 opponent. They're averaging 46 points per game against Division II competition and allowing just 15 per game. They dropped 56 on MSU last week in a weather-delayed game that finished with a running clock for the final quarter plus a minute or so. For ASU, this is a must-win game. To grab one of the 8 bids out of the brutal Super Region 4, they have to get this week. CWU, they can lock the LSC title and an automatic bid to the playoffs with help from a Western Oregon loss on this weekend. But the Wildcats already look playoff secure. They're favored. Never, ever count out a Jeff Gersh defense in a grinder. And that's your warm-up. 9 windows, title stakes everywhere. Kickoff stretching from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. Hydrate, keep the clock handy, and get ready to watch some incredible football games. Thank you for joining me for this week's episode of the Cut Block Podcast. I'll be back with another episode soon, bringing you more unfiltered truth and fearless football talk. Until then, stay safe. And remember, just because it's legal doesn't make it right. Just like my takes.
Thank you for listening to the Cut Block Podcast with Corey Hope. Remember, the cut block might be legal, but that doesn't make it right. Just like Corey Hope's takes.